Right. Alexandra Dukeman.
Here.
Matt Crabtree. Absent. Melinda Ellswick.
Here.
Lauren Cooper.
Here.
Cash Parker.
Here.
Ken Chu.
Here.
And then Eric Sampson is here, as well as Brian Isom from Community Development. And Councilmember Wright is not here.
Okay. Thanks, Eric. That moves us to approval of the minutes, and I did notice a typo in the minutes. It says under call to order, it says chairs, Parker. It should be chair. So I would suggest that we amend the minutes and correct them with that typo being taken out of there.
And that's for the October minutes?
Correct, October 16th, 2024 minutes. So is there any further discussion or corrections to the minutes before I entertain a motion about them? And Crabtree just walked in the room.
Oh, please.
Hello. Hearing no discussion or other corrections to the minutes, is there a motion to approve them with the correction that was suggested by me?
Motion approved.
Moved by Ken. Is there a second?
Did y'all discuss the fact that there's two sets of minutes in the attachments?
No, we did not.
No, I didn't notice that either. Why are there two sets of minutes?
I think it's a mistake, because we did the September ones last month.
I thought so.
So we can just strike that. Does that need a motion? To strike the approval of minutes from September?
Move to strike the September minutes from the agenda.
Let's deal with that motion first. The
Okay.
move to strike the September minutes from the agenda. Is there a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a second. All in favor, we'll start with those in the room. Say aye. 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 Everyone in the room is an aye. Those online,
Aye.
those are both ayes.
Unanimous?
Unanimously carries. Then moving to the October 16th minutes, is there a motion to approve those minutes with the correction that I suggested?
Motion approved.
If there's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, starting with those in the room, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And those online,
Aye.
Aye.
that's unanimous on approval of those minutes. From October 16th, 2024, that brings us to public forum. I do not see anyone from the public here in the Red Rocks room. Is there anyone online from the public?
That I can see.
Right. Seeing none online either, that moves us into item number 4, which is the CLG presentation to City Council. And there is in the packet both the presentation that Lindsay Fuelling gave, I think maybe more than once, to our commission, and then there is, I assume, drafted by Eric, because I didn't do it, I'll confess, PowerPoint that covers some of the points we want to make in the study session. So Eric, I'll look to you, I guess, to kick us off if you want to just talk about what your thoughts were on putting this together.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So yeah, largely this is just kind of an abridged version of the presentation that Lindsay gave. And the goal tonight is just to kind of go through this page by page, see if there's anything that you think we need to add or remove or edit. I don't believe we have a date for a study session yet. It's still tentative for sometime in January or February. But then we'll be ready to go once we get a date and time. So I'm assuming that it's going to be presented by Cash and myself, and I believe Lindsay Fuelling will be available to answer questions if council has them. Is that okay with everybody?
Okay with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this one I swiped from Shippo. So this is basically the current overview of current CLGs in Colorado. It's just some basic information there. And then the main part of this presentation to council is letting them know the benefits of becoming a CLG. Largely more so that it's going to provide a lot of benefits to the community, not a whole or any downsides that I can perceive of. So there's access to certified local government and National Park Service grants. There's eligibility for state historic preservation tax credits and state historical fund grants. And then there's the ability to work with and receive guidance from SHPO for preservation projects and initiatives, access to orientation and training through an annual statewide CLG conference. And CLGs are given a formal role in the National Historic Register to review Section 106 federal projects. Is there anything on here that should be changed?
I thought that looked great. My only suggestion on the prior slide, Eric, is I like that slide that you stole from SHPO. Good job stealing that.
Yeah.
Under maybe like a sub-bullet point under 67 CLGs. I mean, you can kind of see it on the map, but maybe 2 to 4 examples of varied communities, be they counties or municipalities that are CLGs.
Okay.
And by varied, I mean geographically, socioeconomically, that type of thing, to show that it's a pretty wide spectrum of communities have adopted this within Colorado. And I leave it to you to pick out 4 from varying spots across the state.
Okay. Let's include, I'm just putting them on here.
Like, for instance, you can see on here, I don't know if it's Kiowa, I think it must be the county.
I-
Kiowa County would be maybe one, because that's maybe distinct. And then I think like Sterling or Fort Morgan is on here, just some different ones.
Yeah.
So that's clear.
And I'm assuming that the counties that are highlighted are the counties that are the ones. So it'd be like Kiowa, from Boulder to Kiowa to La Junta to, Cortez.
Yep.
Telluride.
Does anyone else, while Eric's doing that, does anyone else have any thoughts on the first couple of slides?
I was going to ask.
I would agree with you, Cash, that it's important to highlight the variations of communities, including size, point out some that are much smaller than Inglewood and still manage to do this. Like, I think like Carbondale is the CLG. It's a very small city. Like pick some that are similar to Inglewood or larger or smaller.
I agree.
So I was going to ask the same question with the highlighted counties, what those signify. That now suddenly makes sense.
Yeah.
That those are CLGs. However, Arapahoe County is not on there. I guess that's a shame. But what's that? Oh yeah, Arapahoe County's not on there, unfortunately. But I think also considering Inglewood is so tied with the metro area and the influence of Littleton and Denver, to definitely spell that out. As we're first tier to Denver, and Littleton is second tier to Denver to us. So calling that out, because I believe Littleton is CLG, yes?
That sounds right.
And I'm sure Denver's CLG.
Denver is for sure.
So we're kind of squeezed in the middle and not so. I think calling that out is, I don't know how you would do that, or maybe that's just part of the presentation to make mention that, in the vicinity of our area.
We could also provide them just kind of a little handout too that just like lists all the CLGs in Colorado for their reference.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be good. And maybe point out the fact that, both Littleton and Denver are CLG.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think maybe a third sub-bullet point to Matt's point, that specifically Denver and Littleton, because those are the cities that essentially surround Inglewood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do one that's like a broad picture, and we can also zoom in on their map
and like just show the Denver metro area and the cities, that might be like a second, what I just did.
Yeah, and it's certainly if there's questions from council, we'll do that. But I think just calling out how widespread this is, and to Matt's point, the fact that we're surrounded by two very different municipalities in Denver and Littleton that both are CLGs. It's good. Any other thoughts there, or the next page on benefits? I thought the benefits were well spelled out. It's good.
And so,
Actually, sorry, I think I have a quick comment on the last page. If you could go back to it.
yeah, hold on, I'm saving. Sometimes you gotta pack a lunch. Okay.
That first one, you could maybe add, without any matching requirements or something to that effect.
That's a great point.
Do you call it fund matching? Is that fair?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's,
that's a good point.
yeah. Maybe bold that and underline it. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I think that's a great summary. Anything else on that benefits page, which is, I like that that's first before we go to responsibilities.
Okay, and then, so responsibilities. I put a check mark by the ones on here are the ones that we have already established, and that's so the local preservation ordinance, check, and establish and maintaining a historic preservation commission, check. And then other items that we will need to do if we are granted CLG status is to maintain a system for survey and inventory of historic properties, provide opportunities for public participation in local preservation efforts, and at least one commissioner must attend a SHPO-approved education or training event annually. And then we would be responsible for submitting an annual report to SHPO regarding any historic properties that have been designated, and basically just general preservation activities that we've done throughout the year.
Yeah, I think I like this. My only little tweak on this, so the bullet point that says provide opportunities for public participation in local preservation efforts, my thought on that is that is available in the form of the public can come to the public forum at this commission, for instance. That would be one opportunity for public participation. So if SHPO or whomever was to ask, what are you doing on that front? I would say we're already doing that. So I don't know if that's a check off or one we should maybe drop under the Historic Preservation Commission, since we have it, because a member of the public can come to any meeting.
That's
and
right.
Have input at any time in this public forum.
Yeah, let's go ahead and put that under.
And I'm all for establishing or promoting other ways for the public to participate in preservation efforts, but for purposes of presenting this to council, the more that we already have done on the responsibilities section, I think probably the better.
Looks better. Yeah, like we're already halfway there.
You're right, exactly.
On that note, I would say the one about SHPO approved training, we could put a check by that, because I typically attend the CPI conference every year, and I know Melinda and CJ have attended that in the past. So
It's a good one.
Okay.
Along the lines, and I'm sure you've already looked into this, but one of the questions that may come up with the annual reporting for the SHPO, what's the staff time associated with that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, that is something I should probably look into to see what exactly like what we would provide. I'm guessing.
So I think this question came up when Lindsay was here, and she said it was pretty, I don't want to say ministerial or perfunctory, like it was a total nothing thing, but it was not an in-depth report that had to be provided. So I would, Eric, if you don't mind, maybe just like send an email to Lindsay and see what she says about
Sure.
that. And then we can come up with a way to say, it's not a huge drain on staff resources. This isn't like a 100-page report that has to be submitted annually.
Yeah, she implied it was pretty light.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, and I was gonna say maybe kind of what you touched on, Cash, is the way to frame it is it's a 3 to 5 page report, or something like that, to get them an idea of how long it might be.
And the other thing too with that, I don't know that we need to put this in the presentation, but something that perhaps we can say when we talk to council. I mean, that report is certainly something that we as a commission can work on with you as staff. So it's not just falling totally to you guys to put that together.
Do we want to make any further mention on the maintenance system for survey? We've already, I don't think we've done enough to check that now, but we have done a survey. Would going forward on this, and it's more of a question too, would going forward on this require more of the surveys to be done that we've already done? Or is this an internal tracking system? What do we?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's opportunities out there for more specific surveys to be done. But I also think like once we get to the point where we're starting to review and make recommendations on historic properties, and once those get designated, then we can maintain that list as well.
And I also think Lindsay said, if you get CLG certified, you open yourself up to grant funding to fund all those things.
But yep.
So
Maybe that's a good.
So that's what I was working towards.
Certification gives you the opportunity to fund
Yeah.
all of these items that go back into your own reporting system, so it's kind of.
Maybe that doesn't need to be a bullet point under there, but just maybe a talking point that
Sure.
once the we're part of CLG, then that. funding
Well,
comes.
yeah, and I'm for generally with PowerPoints, less words on slides if possible. However, I do think that one might be worth a parenthetical to say CLG status opens grant opportunities, just those few words on there.
And maybe make mention of the fact that we've already done a survey through a previous grant, but this will mean more grant opportunities here. And I think a lot of city council would be supportive of the receiving grant funding.
And my recollection of the discussion with Lindsay, not that anything needs to be added here, was that similar to the annual reporting, it's not a strict requirement. It's not like you have to do a survey every year or every 2 years, or you just have to have I think you have to demonstrate probably in that report, and someone correct me if they have a different understanding, that you are looking at that on an ongoing basis and doing something to track properties and potentially survey them. So.
How do these study sessions normally run? Is it pretty, is it you do the presentation and then they ask questions, or will they interrupt you during the presentation?
Usually, the ones I've done, it was like we do your presentation and then they do questions. Usually keep the presentation short and sweet, probably about 5 minutes.
If the situation is that you get to run through the presentation and then they ask questions, normally, when I set up a presentation like this, where I have responsibilities and benefits, I almost always do responsibilities first and end with benefits.
Okay.
Because it's like, that's what they get left with essentially.
Okay.
It just changes.
Do we want to flip those slides around?
Well, I'm not presenting, so I don't know that it's my call.
Yeah, there's an argument for both, right? There's something that trial lawyers talk about a lot is primacy and recency, exactly what you're talking about, which is the first thing you hear and the last thing you hear tend to be the most important. So this one you could make an argument for going either way. I definitely understand what you're saying. I don't know that I have a strong point of view on that, but I certainly would be fine with ending with benefits as well.
Okay.
That would be fine with me.
Okay. Anybody else have thoughts? Okay, I will go
I like
ahead.
your idea.
I'll go ahead and switch those around.
Yeah, end with the positive.
All right,
Yeah.
so we do responsibilities, benefits, and then the last slide, we'll talk about next steps to become a CLG or get CLG status. And that's submit application and status request met
And so that slide, I think I would just put adopt a resolution first, because wouldn't procedurally adopting a resolution have to happen before we can the city can submit the application?
I think I'll have to look at it, but for some reason I was thinking we needed to do the application first. But I could be wrong.
I mean, this is beyond my limited knowledge of,
Unless we do it at the same time.
of city council procedure, but I would think that to submit an application, the city council would have to authorize that by passing the resolution first.
Okay.
I don't think we as a commission or you as staff can do that without the city having approved, the council having approved it.
That's a good point.
Any other thoughts on this slide? That was my only thought.
I mean, I like the formatting of it. One of the questions that I obviously had the last time is what happens if we decide not to be a CLG anymore? Just be prepared with maybe that answer is council may ask, it may not, but the opportunity exists to easily cut. And
It's up to them. Anytime they want, they can.
maybe not broadcast that, but
Yeah,
Sure.
if they
But
do
it's-
ask the question.
It remains council's decision.
Yeah, it remains council's decision, yes.
Is perhaps the way to put it.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this?
And just a question, I suppose. The study session packet will be it will be both this presentation and Lindsay Fuelling's presentation. That's what'll be in their packet materials for that.
As far as I know, it'll just be our presentation.
Oh, okay. That's fine. That makes no difference.
Should we include in the packet the one pager though?
We can include additional attachments to the council communication, like on the website, I found a draft copy of a 2024 annual report. It's 7 pages. So that's the report that we would have to fill out if we were a certified local government. Has all the questions, all the information that we'd have to fill out and submit back to them. So we can include that.
That would be good. And then isn't there a model ordinance on that site? I think that would be good to show them exactly what they have to, or resolution, to show them exactly what they have to pass.
And that one pager.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts before we wrap up on this item?
Will Lindsay be available? Is she gonna be part?
She said that she, depending, once we figure out a date, she said she's more than happy to come.
Okay.
So I'm sure if her schedule works, then she will be there.
Are we looking at, and I'm not holding you guys to this, I know it can be kind of hard to tell with study sessions with council. Are we looking at January, February?
That's the correct.
That's what we're looking at. That's about as much as we
Good
can.
answer, yeah. Yes. We're looking at those. Okay. All right, that sounds good. Any other thoughts?
One thought, that's a nice picture of Old South Broadway there. We might want to show them some of the buildings that already exist that are on the state or national register. For example, the Deaton Bank, or the David Brown House, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm good.
Just
with-
a thought.
I'm good with having a couple or 3 or 4, whatever pictures in there. That'd be fine with
Sure.
me. And I don't think those need anything other than, let's just let the pictures be worth 1,000 words.
Oh, yeah, just go add a couple slides.
So the Deaton Bank, post office,
Yeah, post office.
Post office.
Brown House.
is the Brown House?
It's on Denver's.
It's yeah, are we talking about national only, or are we talking about? Because I'm also curious about, I can't remember if the Scarrett House is
I don't think so.
registered.
I don't remember.
The Scarrett House is not.
Okay.
Okay, and I can add a couple slides showing those.
Perfect.
We could do that, or just kind of
Collage it together.
Or put them in with
with
also
the
works.
words.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hey, anything else? Okay,
Yeah, thanks for putting that together, Eric.
no problem. Thank you everyone for your input on this. We'll make the changes and then I'm sure we'll go over everything once again prior to our
Sure.
study session.
Sure. Great. All right. Thanks again, Eric. Appreciate your work on that. That brings us to, sorry, scrolling back up to the top, item 5, the HPC budget and historic landmark designation plaques. And there is, I don't think this is in the packet. Brian brought a printed memo. So Brian, I guess I'll turn it over to you to start this discussion.
I also emailed it to Lauren and
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Melinda if they've gotten it. Otherwise, we can pull it up on the presentation too. Sorry, I didn't get it in the packet. I was waiting on one other group to send me a quote, and nobody sent me a quote.
I have the feeling.
Right. So for the most part, Matt did most of the background work on this, and you all have had quite a few discussions. Let me pull up my staff report. We went out and got a total of 6 quotes, I think now. A lot of the local companies give bulk pricing, or a couple of the companies locally give some bulk pricing discounts. Some of the other ones do not at all. The 2 companies, the one from Idaho and the one from Florida, they won't give you shipping quotes because they don't calculate shipping until you actually order something. And so they did not provide any quotes for shipping. So I think this is maybe, I don't know how anybody had thought about this discussion going, but does anybody have any ideas of who they'd like to? We've talked to purchasing. Since it's such a low cost item, we don't have to go through the entire purchasing route. It's something that we can purchase, you know, as needed as staff. But we would like to have one vendor that we purchase from. The other item that I thought maybe a discussion is previously, it sounds like, or at least my understanding was the commission had decided that the city would purchase these. In some communities that I work in, it's actually wrapped up into the application. There's a fee, like if you're approved, then you pay a fee to get the actual plaque, or my understanding right now is that the city would just purchase them outright. And not put the burden on the homeowner. I don't know if y'all want to discuss that at all, or just keep going the way that we already.
Well, looking, I guess, if you don't mind me starting here.
Please, by all means.
So, well, probably customary in a lot of communities to require the homeowner to at least contribute to the cost of the plaque. There is a fee associated that's pretty high. Adding on the plaque, I think right now for a program that isn't established could be a deterrent for some people. Maybe during the initial phases of this, and I don't know if this is something we can back out of later, but during the initial phases of this, the commission pays for the plaque. And then depending upon the popularity of the program, maybe we shift away from is that difficult to do if you give it away first and then you say later you have to pay for it?
I mean, I mean, there might be some people who are,
taste is free.
yeah, I mean, there might be some people who are upset about it, but I guess I would say government at all levels does that all the time.
Well, yeah, but you get what I'm saying, to kind of prime the program here and encourage as many people as possible to go into it. You probably won't have the cost as low as.
Well, particularly on the, just, yeah, starting on the cost issue and whether the commission, or I should say the city, should pay for it to begin with. Since we have budget that's $3,000 for outside printing, same as budgeted for next year, we haven't used any of that, right?
Yeah, that's on the budget sheet. I think you're down to, Eric, can I stop
Sorry,
sharing and y'all can pull up
that's
the
in
budget sheet?
It's in the packet.
I think 1,800. Just the number sticking in the back of my mind.
Outside printing, year-to-date transactions says 1,096, and then there's 1,903.34 next to that. Okay.
So would that roll over to next year if it doesn't get spent?
No.
So
It
we
starts
just
back
buy
over with
$1,900 worth
3,000.
of plaques right now?
Okay,
So yeah, there's 1903.34 remaining in the outside printing.
What do we normally print? What do we normally print?
I don't know what the transaction, there's $1,000 transaction. I don't know exactly what that's for. We can check with Shelley
Are they?
and Nancy. I don't know if anybody had requested anything printed or if we,
I'm wondering if someone is, and I'm sure it's appropriate to do so if they are, but I wonder if it's the printing of like the flyers and the utility bills, or the magazine is being charged back to this commission when our stuff's in there. Do you know? Is
that may be what it is. We can check.
Because we certainly, I'm not aware of anything else being.
Yeah, I don't know
for
that we're
this
printing
commission.
anything for you. Other than these pages right here.
Exactly, these 9 or 10 pages or whatever it is that you brought in here. So I would imagine it must be those flyers and the utility bills that are being charged to us. I mean, I agree with the general thought that at least initially, we should use what budget we have to buy plaques, and so to incentivize people and give them the plaque. Being that we haven't had an application yet, if we bought, for instance, 10 plaques from one of these companies that gets us to the lowest cost per unit, I'm guessing those plaques would last for a while.
Yeah, we can. Well, in fact, if anything, we probably go with 5, and then, go with whatever we can use to exhaust our budget, I guess.
We don't have any other expenses, do we?
The only thing I could think of about this is that we cover the expenses for the attendance of certain conferences.
Which is in there. It looks like there's been 500 spent on technical training.
But this is through the end of this year, right?
Yes.
The calendar year.
The fiscal year for the city.
What's the fiscal year?
Calendar.
It's calendar.
It's the calendar year. So, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to just spend it all and get 10, right?
Well, I mean, what are our totals for 10 here? Depends on where we're going. Because if we're looking at a total, what are we, so year-to-date transactions, we're at 2703, right? So we've expended 2703, or 2703.
That's our budget, yeah.
Yeah, we have
$1,900.
1903.34 left.
Oh,
Printing.
1903?
Oh, okay. So
I think it has to come out of the printing.
So I'm sorry, where are we at here? I'm trying to squint at the screen.
So we have $1,903.34 left for fiscal year 2024. Is that,
Okay.
are we reading that correctly?
I'm still trying to see which line you guys are on.
Oh,
here.
so we can't spend out of the other lines.
No,
I see.
no, we can't take money from other lines and use it for something like this. We can only use what's in that.
Well, even then, I mean, if we go with harmonic, for instance, we could still cover it. We'd be just
Oh,
right,
I
we'd
see
be
what's
right
happening.
there,
Yeah,
because it's 1884.
and then there's no shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And what we can do between now and next month is double check to make sure, get all the information about the accuracy or where these charges were. And then we can decide where to order, and then we can get the order in before the end of the year.
My recommendation, and I don't know if this is possible because it is approaching the end of November here, to make sure.
That's, say it's calendar year, right? So,
Yes. I'm not sure what the lead time is for Harmonic Media here. I can't remember if they said that, but ordering, I don't know how long it would take for them to produce one so that we could make sure and validate kind of as first article. And then fire off 10 at the, once we've kind of confirmed that. It's a little risky in the late part of November, but also knowing that sometimes things don't get translated correctly and we don't want to get a plaque that's,
And we paid for 10.
like that.
If we order 10, won't they do a wood mock or something like that? No?
Our first article. I mean, it'd be a question to ask.
Yeah, we can ask that question. Everybody, the groups that I talked to, which are the one in Idaho and Florida, no. And
Yeah, I would
you order it,
imagine.
they get shipped to you. That's
But
pretty
I
much
mean,
what it was.
this is an Englewood company. I would imagine
Yeah.
that that I can't imagine they would just make it and make 10 and send them to us and say that's it. And then we notice that there's no T in historic.
They send you some mock-ups,
Right, I mean,
like some
yeah.
digital mock-ups of things,
Okay.
but that's kind of the limit as to what I've gotten so far.
Oh, wow.
So Harmonic Media is, the Historic Society has used them quite a bit, and they're really good, in my opinion, for what they've done for us, but we've never had any plaques made through them. That's all been physical printing, stuff like that. So, I just worry that, we want to make sure that we kind of sign off on a first article. That's,
I guess it just depends on timing.
Yeah.
And also, that would kind of break the bank for us, right? Or we just go for 5, right? Because that would be more than our budget.
true. So 1,903, and then so.
are we talking about a cast aluminum or bronze plaque? It's a casting, right?
It's the tooled bronze.
There's two options. Well, there's 2 options for Harmonic Media. There's aluminum and there's bronze, and both are tooled, not cast.
The place that you had found in Florida was cast, which is interesting, actually. That's kind of hard to find a foundry nowadays that'll do these. So cast is a neat appearance. My example here is tooled. So for all that have seen this before, there's a different look to tooled versus cast. There's in the background area, this is smooth here on tooled, whereas a cast would typically have a dimpled background here. That's usually artifacts of the sand that they cast into. And they'll usually surface any of the raised lettering.
Although castings can be machined and polished, a casting, of my own experience, I know, the first step in the casting is to have a form for the sand casting. And that's the thing that we would want to quality approve, is the form, not an actual casting.
Yeah.
My only fear, if that's kind of a dying art, is that you get 10 plaques cast and then they go away, and then you start ordering different plaques that look totally different than one.
Yeah.
Or even if it's a minuscule difference, they'd be different. So.
Yeah.
And that's one of the groups that didn't give me shipping costs.
Well, and
They
here's the
also
thing.
said their quote is only good until the end of 2024.
This,
Or 24.
I mean, that's heavy. Imagine that times 10. That's, I don't know what the weight is on this necessarily, but it'd be a lot of shipping, I think.
Well, yeah, and you're talking about the Florida group that will do cast. Yeah, that'll be, their cost per unit isn't bad, but yeah, that's going to be expensive to ship.
The other thing to consider too is, do we go with aluminum or do we go with bronze? So where are we at here? So if we're
About $100 difference.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a different company.
Yeah,
$75 difference per plaque.
yeah,
I mean, I think the bronze looks better.
I agree.
Yeah, I like the bronze.
I agree.
Do we know if we'll have the same amount to spend next year?
I think that's what that says in here, is that we will have 3,000 for outside printing for fiscal year 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do think 10 will last us probably 3 years. I mean, we haven't gotten a single application
Yeah,
in, right? So.
I don't think. I mean, I think I guess we should clarify this. Certainly it's my thought, but it sounds like our preference would be to use a local company if we can, and there happens to be
Yeah.
one. So
I agree.
that sounds like there's consensus around that. The price also happens to be very competitive, which
Yes.
is
Yeah.
pleasant, so we're not paying a premium to go local.
Also, by our ordinance says that anything that's already designated on the National Register or the State Register is assumed to be Inglewood landmark. So there's actually a bunch of buildings that we could actually already put a plaque on.
Well, I'm not sure about that, because the ordinance says that is a criteria that essentially, would say that we should find that it is an Inglewood landmark, but they would still have to apply to be designated as an Inglewood landmark and to obtain the plaque.
Now, I believe the ordinance says we assume they are an Inglewood landmark.
I don't think we could have done that. I don't know that would have gotten approved.
Yeah, it says, I'm not quoting the exact language because I don't have it in front of me. It says that being on the national or state register is a strong factor in favor of designating as a local landmark, but they have to apply.
Well, that's kind of wimpy,
It is what it is, I suppose.
I guess, yeah. Takes away some of our teeth.
Yeah, but I mean, in any event, any of those folks could apply, so.
Why would they want to?
Well, that discussion goes a bit beyond this one, so.
Yeah.
So so I think we've kind of agreed upon bronze, which is good. I agree on that, right?
Yeah, does anyone disagree that bronze is the option we should go with? Right, I think, hearing no disagreement, I think we're in consensus on that.
One of the considerations too, and obviously I think the cast would be different, but any of the other ones that are tooled generally, so when I made this plaque, I made it out of a standard 3/8 thickness, which it probably doesn't have to be. The milled ones will actually be probably about this thickness. So the depth of the lettering will be different. That's another reason why I'm kind of stressing the fact that we probably want to see a first article to make sure everything, translates correctly. Because they offer, it's a thinner construction.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense to me, and it sounds like this company. I don't know anything about this company.
Harmonic, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're a very good company. My opinion, they've done very well and been very supportive and helpful with the Historic Society, especially with the museums, all the graphics we have in there and things like that. A lot of those were Harmonic, so it's a good company. I just like I said though, as a caveat to that, we've never ordered a plaque through them, so.
So, Matt or Brian, do you think what Matt's talking about to get a proof of concept, which is probably not the engineering term for it, but to get that, would we just essentially have to buy one from them to see that? Is that how that would work before placing a bigger order? Yeah.
I would think so. I mean, I can reach out to them this week, as soon as tomorrow.
And while it's nice to use every bit of our money, right? We will get more money next year.
Yes.
So, I fear we're gonna get 10 plaques. They might be perfect, or they might not.
Yeah, and if we, and it's yes, our budget will renew, but yeah, I'd rather get it right than rush it because it's not a responsible use of the city's money
Yeah, that's
to
exactly
get
right.
10 plaques that are useless.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
hoping that won't happen.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Brian, what do you think?
I'm not a member of this commission.
Yeah.
You guys get to make the decision. I just,
Cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if they can produce one by the time we have a meeting next month and, we can put an order in before the year ends and spend the budget this year, wonderful. If not, we'll have $3,000 for outside printing next year. And I think that's a better way to approach it, to get a proof of concept to make sure it's not terrible, not viable before we move forward. And that's low risk because if we buy one bronze from Harmonic, that's $226. So if it doesn't come out the way that we want, then we're not stuck with 10 that we have to use as paperweights or whatever from there. That to me sounds like the way we should move forward. Does anyone else have any other thoughts or proposals or disagree with that approach?
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
I guess I am curious, the homeowners, are we gonna have like the fasteners to actually attach it to their home, or how does that then work? It is,
some of the ones that I worked, the last two, they had options for fasteners or
Okay.
options for like covers for fasteners, so they look more like rivets and not necessarily, a flathead screwdriver can take this thing off of a wall. And they had some mounting options
okay.
that you could select from, whether it's gonna be like mounted on a wall. I would bet we can see if they have best practices.
Yeah, just make it
that'd be
easy so it doesn't get like put off.
Yeah, because the unfortunate reality is this is worth a lot of money, actually. I mean, not a lot, it's not gold, but it's copper bearing, so there's a scrap cost, unfortunately, so we don't want it easy to remove from the walls, right?
And I would bet most of the historic buildings probably don't want it screwed into their wall. They might want to stand like out front. And I know one of the companies that I looked at had different mounting options, whether it was on a stand that was concrete into the ground or.
Yeah.
So we can work on that.
Yeah, because it involves minimal, but spending money, I think we probably need to agree to a motion to direct you all to do that. Yeah, so.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, so what I would entertain is a motion to do what Matt outlined, which is direct staff to get from Harmonic Media in Inglewood one bronze tooled plaque as a proof of concept or example. And part of that directive would be to the extent they can do it by the next meeting, then great. If not, then we'll go from there. But to do it as expediently as possible, to see what that looks like. If possible, before the end of the year, but in any event, to get an example from Harmonic Media. So that was a lot of words, sorry, I'm talking on the fly. But is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Because it's spending money, do you just want to call the roll, Eric, for votes on that?
Yep, absolutely. Alexander Dukeman.
Yes.
All right, Matt Crabtree.
Yes.
Melinda Ellswick.
Aye.
Lauren Cooper.
Yes.
Cash Parker.
Aye.
Ken Chu.
Yes.
All right.
All right, that's unanimous that the ayes have it, so that will pass. And I guess we'll get to this in a moment. I don't know that we have much other business for next month potentially, but I suppose we will have to have at least a quick meeting to see where we stand on that item, depending on what Harmonic Media can do between now and then.
Yeah, if we can't meet, if we don't get anything from them by then, we can cancel. Or we can still meet and go over take a look at the plaque.
Yeah, okay. Good. That motion, that gives you all the directive you need on that, Eric, Brian. Okay, perfect, great. Well, that'll be interesting to see. I'll look forward to seeing what Harmonic Media can come up with. So that's exciting to move forward with production. I love yours, Matt, but then I'm excited for you also to not have to make all of them yourself.
It was really fun making that, but then I look at making 10 of them and I go, ooh.
Yeah, then it's not as fun. Oh, great. All right, well, thank you for that discussion. I believe that's the last agenda item. Sorry, I'm just scrolling back up again. That is the last agenda item, as far as business items. Number 6, staff's choice. Eric or Brian, do you all have anything?
I do not have anything.
I don't have anything.
Okay, great. Commissioner's choice, I don't necessarily have commissioner's choice, but just to clarify, unless there's anyone else who has items for next month, unless we get the plaque example back, I don't think we need to have a meeting next month, and it would probably be, or an application comes in for a landmark designation, that would change that as well. But being December and with commitments around the holidays, I'll just say, absent the plaque matter or a landmark application, I don't think there's any reason we need to have a meeting next month. So that'll be my point for commissioner's choice. So with that, I'll start online actually, because you all are right in front of me. Melinda, do you have anything for commissioner's choice?
No, nothing.
Thank you. Lauren, do you have anything for commissioner's choice?
Nothing for me.
Matt.
I do. First off, Brian, if you need any help, like talking with them, if you want me to get on the phone at the same time with you, I'm welcome to, I'm open to help wherever needed on that. The second thing is there was an email that was received, and Eric, you may have received this today, and I figured it was close enough to the meeting that we probably wouldn't be talking about it tonight, but it would be interesting to get this on the radar, which might be necessary for the next meeting, actually, and it seems like a bit of a feedback loop here, because this is the Old Hampton Complete Streets, but this was received, there's a section 106 received from CDOT. So that means that both the Inglewood Historic Preservation Society, but also the Historic Preservation Commission should comment on the historic significance of properties along the East Hampton corridor. I don't know what the process is. I know the Historic Society has received those in the past, but I don't know what the procedure would be for this commission to respond to those. Is that a staff thing only, or is it a discussion by the members of this commission? It's odd because you were the one that created one of the reports that is actually in, I believe, you worked on the Complete Streets thing somehow.
Oh, wow.
Didn't you? I mean, I saw part of the PowerPoint was actually City of Inglewood, and it went to CDOT, and then CDOT's saying, okay, well, section 106, we gotta go to the Historic Preservation Commission.
My name was on it?
I think so. Let's see here. So that's the CDOT one.
Lauren, you did one of those before, didn't you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it is well within our authority to comment on it. And what Matt's describing with kind of the circular nature is not uncommon also.
Forgive
So
me.
just a way that the way the funding is. It's because sometimes one part of the city might not be talking to another part, so.
But it was prepared. So actually it was Felsberg, Holt, and Ulavik was the contracting, I would assume legal authority on this, but.
No, they're the contractors. CDOT and ultimately FHWA are the ones, the federal agencies that are responsible for it.
So the only reason why I received this and you received this is that it went to the Historic Society and it went to you as the staff person for the commission. So I would guess that's in your email. We have until December 20th, 2024 to respond to this. So that is, of course, another issue. When's our next meeting?
Sorry, what was the deadline?
December 20th, 2024.
All right, so then if we meet in December, that would be the 18th.
Lauren, how long does it take? Like I said, it's been a really long time since we've responded at all, or I've been part of a response on a section 106. How long does it typically take to respond to that?
I mean, it depends on the project and the complexity of it and what you know, if they found anything historic or identified anything historic. We would just need to read through everything to kind of understand what the project is and what's happening.
So as I read this through, and I don't want to weight this by any means, but in fact, I was thinking about this in kind of a frustrating way, that there were properties along there that were probably historic that have gotten removed. But what's remaining right now at the time that the survey was done is, according to the report, it did not find anything that was eligible.
Mhm.
But it would be good for, I think it would probably be good for the rest of the members of this commission to at least weigh in and take a peek.
Mhm. Yeah, and I can forward the materials that I received via email.
So this email just arrived and there's a month to respond to it.
It literally arrived at 10:32 a.m. this morning.
I don't know very much about 106 other than it takes forever for those things to be completed. I'm just very surprised that there's a month turnaround for a public body to weigh in on something like that.
It's in the regulation, it says 30 days, that is what we have to respond. But if we feel like we need more time, we can always contact them in that 30 days and ask for more time, or reach out and ask questions, that sort of thing.
I mean, it seems very unlikely we could come up with any response, given the procedures we have to go through and the discussions that are necessary by December 24th, when we have one meeting on December 18th, potentially, to do
December
that.
20th.
December 20th, sorry.
Giving yourself an extra 4 days there.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know. I mean, I guess the Historic Society, we could probably respond a little more nimbly, a little more nimble. We respond a little easier with that, but.
I mean, it would certainly, I think, be helpful if we're trying to come up with something on that kind of a timeline, to know what the Historic Society, what position they're taking, if there's some legwork that can be done, because like you said, the Historic Society can do things. They're not constrained by all the procedures we have of open meetings and all that stuff that goes along with our work here.
I mean, we can certainly look through it. Lauren, I might reach out to you just to make sure that we're gonna, because this is different. The ones we've responded to in the past have been like cell towers, right?
Mhm.
Cell towers up on the side of a building, and they want to make sure that they're not putting them on a historic building that's going to take away from the character of it. This is really the first time I think that we will be responding to something that's a much larger project.
So I'm not, Lauren and Matt, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, because again, I just don't know that much about 106, but they sent this email to the Historic Society. Nothing was given to this commission.
It was, Eric.
Just, to the email today.
Okay.
So that's why I bring it up during the meeting. If it was just the Historic Society, I probably would have brought up the fact, like, we got another historic, or 106 with the Historic Society, shouldn't be going to the commission. But considering it literally, they sent it to both. The letter actually addresses to both, so. Lauren, let me reach out to you, and maybe in the meantime, the information can be disseminated to the rest of the.
Yeah, disseminated is fine, but I would be more comfortable if the city attorney's office weighed in, and if more time is necessary, if they handle that, because it just seems, again, how would we weigh in on as a public body on 30 days notice? So I would like, and I don't know if this requires a motion to take formal action, but I would like that to be forwarded to the city attorney's office and for them to get involved with that.
I think the city attorney's office should be involved in that. I agree with you, especially because, but here's it's feedback loop. The city of Inglewood created the scenario, so it's literally coming back around again. So, but it is in the purview and Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it is in the purview of local historic organizations to comment on these matters.
Yes, yeah, they're required to reach out to us by law, and if we have comments, they're required to kind of, I guess, consult with us on those comments.
So when you say it's a feedback loop, it's Inglewood's project, is what you're saying?
Yes, it is absolutely. I'm misunderstood and thought it was well, it might be different part of community development that was working on the Complete Streets thing, but it's somewhere within the city that's originated. So, because this is the widening of Hampton basically, and the changing of the sidewalk and removing of, or actually the there's the easements on each side, so actually vacating some of the easements along the
So
road.
Old Hampton Complete Streets projects is a public works project.
Public works, not community development. Okay.
That would explain why we
I
don't
stand,
have.
I stand corrected on that, but nonetheless, it's probably a department next door, right?
Different side of the building.
Okay, all right.
Well, I guess the best we can do is to circulate the materials and put that on the agenda for the next meeting. But I mean, we're going to have a limited amount of time if anything needs to be said about it, and
I didn't catch the 30 days.
Yeah,
Thanks for
well,
bringing that up.
no, that's fine. I saw that today, and actually, I spent a little time studying the report. And it is actually some really fascinating information. But whoever did the actual historic analysis on this one, old aerial photos, and, all that stuff. So it's actually kind of cool history on a lot of the buildings that are in there. Anyway. So.
well, I don't know what to do other than circulate the information, and I guess we do have to have a meeting next month, and we can discuss it then if anything needs to be said. Like I said, it would certainly help to know if the Historic Society has some position. We can discuss that and whether we should agree with it or not, and go from there. Because I don't think one meeting, just again, given the constraints of open meetings and everything else, I don't think we're going to have time to formulate anything on our own.
Lauren, what's your thought on this? What do you think?
I mean, without actually seeing it, it's hard to say. But you said FHU did the report? Because they're typically pretty good, and especially that's CDOT Region 1. They know what they're doing. So, and especially as I think about, driving along Hamden, we're talking 285, right?
Yeah, it's East Hampton, so Old Hampton.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, nothing stands out to me that is, I would think is historic or eligible. So yeah, it doesn't give me a whole lot of heartburn just hearing about it, but I certainly want to read through everything and, see the details of it.
Yeah, it's same thing here. Is there was actually a historic building, or I think could be considered a historic building. It was some sort of general store that was there. That was a wood frame construction, but it's been since demolished. So I think that would have been the only thing that would have stood out. Otherwise, I think the average age of most of the construction along that corridor is, while eligible for historic, is like, I think 1950s, 1960s along there is the remaining. So, but anyway. To your point, nothing's really giving me heartburn on that myself, but it would be good for the rest of the commission to at least see it.
Yeah, we'll get that. I'll also get that sent out to them.
All right. Well, so we'll have a meeting next month.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's certainly not your fault.
I mean, here's a question. Can we review the materials, and then if we have comments, send comments, and if, send comments to you, Eric, if we have any concerns, and then if there are none, then we don't have a meeting and don't send comments and don't discuss it, anything like that?
Yeah, I think that would be okay. Just remember to not reply all.
Right. Yeah, okay, so I think just communicate with Eric, and if there's no concerns about it, then perhaps we don't need to have a meeting. But if there are, then we will, and that's fine. We can discuss it then.
And Brian and I can talk with the city attorney's office in the meantime as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, but a no comment is actually an option.
Yeah, yeah. When I was at CDOT, the vast majority of times, consulting parties did not comment, did not respond. So that is very much an option.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
I kicked that out to everybody. So
Awesome. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Matt. Any other commissioner's choice?
Just a reminder that the museum's open if you haven't had a chance to visit it. It's Saturdays 10 to 2. We will actually be doing a free day if you're interested, a free day with extended hours during the holiday party on December 7th, I believe it is when there's going to be a holiday market up on the second floor of this building, and we're going to have the museum open during that time, and that'll be a free day. So anybody,
December 7th?
I believe it's December. Let me double check on that real fast here, make sure that I'm quoting the right thing. That is December 7th, yep. The market will be open from 9 to 4. We will likely not be open at 9, we'll be open at 10 that day, but we'll be open until 4. And that's the same day that the market is, and then they'll be doing the tree lighting out here, which is kind of a neat family thing to take part of. But you know, the museum will be open kind of extended hours that day as part of it. We've got some awesome t-shirts that say Cinderella City on them, so if you want to wear around a vintage shirt like that, those will be available for Christmas gifts and things like that. And all the proceeds obviously go to the Historic Society. So,
Right. All right. Thank you, Alex.
Nothing else to add.
Okay. Ken, anything for commissioners?
Nope, nothing for me.
Okay. That brings us to the end of the agenda then. So is there a motion to adjourn?
so move.
Is there a second?
Second?
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. It's 7:39 p.m. by my clock.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, let me know if you need help.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Have a good
everyone.
night.